Congratulations to our friends at Complete Kids for making their move into the old Belmont Middle School, beginning with their Belmont Children's Therapy Clinic. If you missed it, we've covered the story of the Belmont Middle School since its sale and purchase. Be sure to listen to those previous episodes for more information about the vision of what the middle school will become and the mission of Complete Kids. Speaking to Complete Kids CEO Adi Kandaria, a Belmont resident, he believes in the power and impact of serving just one child. One child could change the world for millions of people, and that is the mission of Complete Kids. Their services include outpatient speech therapy, physical therapy, and behavioral therapy. And if you're looking to begin or alter your career in children's therapeutics, they're always hiring for their ever-expanding company with their many locations. Congratulations again. Belmont is so lucky to have you. So there's obviously opportunity there, but the Habitat for Humanity community, Dixon Village, is going to be market value homes,
That's
homes
right.
specifically for those families, those Habitat families,
That's right.
community servants, teachers, so on and so forth, that have an entry level into the project.
That's
and
right.
Congratulations to you. You've been awarded with the opportunity, and you earned the opportunity to list these homes.
Thank
So you're going to talk about and tell me about Dixon Village. I want to know all about it. Tell the community, the people that maybe
okay.
want to get involved in the next community, or the person that maybe says, finally, I have an ability to buy a home.
Absolutely.
Well, there's
very
a
difficult.
lot of transplants. A lot of
Yeah.
transplants in this area, and it's rare to meet someone actually from the area. And I say rare; it's not incredibly rare, but
Right.
for every one person you meet that's not from here,
Right.
you meet one that is from here.
Right.
So we're kind of on the topic now, but onto the point. You are from the area.
Yeah.
You are actually born and raised here, have roots here.
Yep.
What has it been from your perspective, the growth in Gaston County, the change in Gaston County? Be as perfectly candid as you like. If you say something that you regret, we can always cut it out later. But like, what is that coming from you? Because there's a lot of mixed feelings about the growth that's happening here.
Well, I think from a standpoint of being in the industry, being a mother in the community, having children here, and being born and raised in Gaston County, I think the development that's taking place is a major positive. I think it's a great thing for Gaston County as a whole. I know there's certain areas of Gaston County that majority of people that live here would say that it's overgrown, specifically Belmont. That's a lot of the feedback you hear here is the developments that are taking place on South Point Road, and you've got the traffic from Belmont Middle and South Point, and there's a lot of development that's taking place. But I think as far as the market in general, it's so strong here in Gaston County, and we have a lot of buyers that are interested in being here, whether they're coming from Charlotte or they're coming from another place. I think it's a good place. It's appealing to buyers because it's relatively affordable in comparison to other areas. And so, I think the development that's taking place, it's definitely been, for me, it's been mind-blowing to see just how far, the Fuse District, and I'm investing over with Honey Hunters, and, just seeing downtown Gastonia, like growing up, we never went to downtown Gastonia, there was no need for us to go to downtown. We would go to Tequila's Mexican restaurant was in downtown Gastonia. It was the best Mexican restaurant. So we would go there, but there was never really a need. And so now just seeing the development that's taking place, specifically in those areas that weren't as nice, and now there's a lot of opportunity there.
Well, some of the areas around here, they really welcome it. Gastonia is really welcoming a lot of growth
Yes.
right now. Mount Holly, obviously, Lowell, Ranlow, Stanley.
Yeah.
McAdenville and Cramerton are really capped in their development, but
Right.
they still are developing.
Right.
Belmont is the big one that's like,
Yep.
stop moving here,
Right.
right? And I
Right.
heard someone say it, and I remember, I think it was someone actually said on the podcast, that every person wants to be the last one in. So,
Yeah.
and not every person, but a lot of people have a mindset of like, I want in, but
Right.
then now I'm going to turn
But
around and say,
now-
no one else.
No.
Like, I want to raise
Right.
the drawbridge.
No more development.
So there's that balance of, no more development, but also understanding that it is an attractive area
It
to
is.
be. And so, but it hasn't always been like this. Downtown Belmont wasn't always like this.
That's
It was
right.
a lot more akin to what downtown Gastonia is now. There's a few things,
That's right.
but it wasn't a destination.
That's
Now
right.
it's a destination.
Right.
So what has that been like for you, seeing like, hey, this shift in what Belmont is now? It is a destination. and people do want to be here, like what has that been like from your perspective growing up here, having been from here?
Well, I think it's, I think it's a big, it shows you what's going to take place in other areas. Like you mentioned downtown Gastonia. And so you're right. This downtown Belmont has not always been downtown Belmont. So before it was downtown Belmont and it wasn't as attractive, obviously this market here was, we weren't selling at $300 a square foot. It was a much different market. And, so now moving forward, it's kind of indicative of the other places that are going to continue to develop. And it gives you an idea. We think that way of downtown Kings Mountain.
Yes.
And that's why we invest so heavily there. We've got 133 West in downtown Kings Mountain. We are purchasing the old Central School in downtown Kings Mountain, the old high school there. We've done some comic-controlled storage facilities in the area. And so we really pour into that area financially and just thinking of, it's going to be, that's what my dad says, downtown Belmont was not, just like you said, it wasn't downtown Belmont 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's where we're headed. We're headed to an area now that's not downtown Belmont, but we believe in 25 years it may be.
Even 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't like it is now.
No.
And then, of course, Chronicle Mill is here now. And I've come to find as I see it's 100% occupied now.
Right.
A thought was it's going to bring 400 new families into Belmont.
Right.
And the truth is it actually just brought 400 people closer to downtown.
Right.
Because a lot of people that moved in there were staying in other areas on the periphery of Belmont or Gaston County, and now they're closer. So it actually brings people that already do have a little bit of ownership in the community. And again, I'm not from here, so I always want to be mindful to learn from someone who has been.
Right.
I am one of those outsiders that has really fell in love with the community. My wife and I want to raise our family here, Lord willing. Right. All of our families back in New Mexico. Most of my business is online, and I love the community, so we choose to be here. We don't have to be here.
Right.
But so I always want to be mindful, like, hey, I feel like I'm a productive member of society.
Right.
But I'm not from here, so I don't know what I'd feel like if I was one of those people that's like, hey, it's growing too much, it's growing too fast, we have too many people.
Right.
So you don't have to answer this, but what do you say to, and I'm sure you've had those conversations, like, hey, what do you say to the person that's like, hey, it's too much, we've grown too much, we need to stop everything? Because healthy things grow.
Right.
That's just the truth of it, so it's healthy.
Right.
But like, how do you have that conversation from the professional yourself?
I think when it's coming from a buyer standpoint or even a seller standpoint where they are, potentially looking to either buy in the area or sell their home in the area because of the traffic and the rapid growth that's taken place. I think it's a good conversation to have on, listen, you're so fortunate. You're so fortunate to be in this area where so many people want to be. And, I understand it's not convenient for you to have to hit this traffic on South Point Road at 7:30 in the morning when you're taking your kids to school or you're commuting to work. However, you have such a huge benefit by living in this community.
Yes.
It's highly sought after, and I think it shifts the perspective on, complaining about being in a place where everybody wants to be versus being grateful that you have ownership, like we discussed earlier, owning a small part of Belmont, of this area. And it really is such a blessing, and it's such a privilege to be able to be here and raise your family here. And it's a great school district. You've got downtown. There's so much opportunity here for businesses. And, I love the small town feel, but there's so much opportunity. There's so much out there for young families, for entrepreneurs, for people like us. And so I think it's a major blessing.
It's still a great investment opportunity.
Absolutely.
The value is just going to continue to increase. And, the truth is we are so close to, we're in one of the fastest growing states in the country, next to one of the fastest growing cities in the country.
Absolutely.
There's no way Gaston County is not going to feel that, right, wrong, or indifferent. Whether you like it or not, we're going to have to manage that.
That's right.
And, as you look at it, actually, I was just reading the Charlotte Business Journal this last week, and it blew my mind. There was a top 20 list of best places to live in the Charlotte metro. You know where Belmont was on that list?
Where?
It wasn't.
Wow.
It didn't even make the top 20.
Wow.
So the secret's not entirely out yet, right? Like, and you would think, right? I went to the list totally expecting to see, maybe Belmont, Mount Holly somewhere on the list. I was expecting to see some Gaston County representation, not one.
So is it all north of Charlotte? Is it like Norman, Denver?
There was Matthews, there was Huntersville, there was Davidson, there was Ballantyne, obviously, there was South Park, like all the Concord, even Kannapolis. Like, really? We're not even on the list. So I think, first of all, people that are hearing that should say, if I've been holding off on buying, and if you can, right, if you have the means to,
Right.
you haven't missed the boat, the value is still going to only increase in this area
Absolutely.
because the secret still is not out. And for every person that you run into that says, hey, I don't know anything about Gaston County, or hey, I don't, really want to be in Gaston County because I've heard these things coming from Charlotte.
Yeah.
We've all heard it, right? We've all dealt with, especially transplants. Like, I'm still trying to get Zach to move out here to Belmont. We'll get him eventually. From a lot of transplants, you'll hear like, oh man, I said I was moving to Belmont and I love it. And my coworker said Gaston County. And it's like, they don't know yet. So if you think it's bad now, it's only going to continue to grow.
Absolutely.
And like you said, we're fortunate to be in an area that is growing, and we're probably going to take some heat from that. Someone's going to say like, oh, it's too much.
Absolutely.
Like, well, then what can we do about it?
That's right.
I mean, really, we can't do much other than try and manage it well and create a community people want to be in and love each other well, connect with each other, serve each other.
Absolutely.
And this has actually been a really awesome lead into what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So today we have Presley Ramey joining us. She is a real estate pro in all aspects, an agent, an investor, a designer, an aspiring general contractor,
There we
just
go.
a builder of all kinds. And you've been involved with Habitat for Humanity, from what I can understand, your entire life.
That's right.
Because your dad's been involved, and Habitat for Humanity, for those of you that don't know, is a very effective nonprofit that really does help to really meet a need. And as any business does, any good business should meet a need. Nonprofits happen to have advantages to be able to do that, and they're more mission-oriented usually.
Right.
But we have Presley Ramey joining us. Thank you for taking the time. You actually reached out to me. I'm so glad that you did, so we could have the conversation. Tell me about your first interaction that you can remember as a child with Habitat for Humanity, and even maybe a memory you have with your dad.
So thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here and to take the time to be able to talk about Habitat for Humanity, and specifically Dixon Village, which I know we'll get to in a little bit. So Habitat for Humanity. So growing up, we attended church. My family attended church at First ARP in Gastonia, downtown Gastonia. And First Presbyterian, so First ARP. So my family was very involved with First ARP, and we did many Habitat for Humanity projects growing up. So I just remember being a little girl under the age of 10 and going to these home sites and working on their build days. So we love going to their build days for Habitat for Humanity. A lot of the homeowners are there. It's such a special time to be able to feel like you're contributing to this dream of home ownership that and these Habitat families have, and they're so deserving. And so, I just remember being out on the sites, on the home sites, and walking around and having a hammer and a nail and not really doing anything, but just feeling like I was making such a difference by being there. And I think that it's just been such a blessing to continue that relationship with Habitat. And I think it's such a beautiful thing, and it's such a great way to give back to the community, because there's such a need for affordable housing.
Especially here, it's commonly known that people that love Belmont or work in Belmont can't afford to live in Belmont,
That's right.
Especially with how housing has gone over the last couple of years. Again,
right.
We're fortunate, but I do enjoy that you all are doing that. In your own words, who is Habitat for Humanity and what do they do?
So Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit, like you discussed, a nonprofit that's focused on, providing affordable housing for families that qualify with, within their income. Majority of these families have children, young children, multiple children. They're working multiple jobs to make ends meet, and they just, it has not been in their cards to be able to purchase a home the traditional route. And the stories that these families tell, at the events that are hosted by Habitat is truly life-changing. It's very humbling. And so, Habitat is just an incredible opportunity for people in the community to raise money and to give back and to provide affordable housing for deserving families.
Mm-hmm. And usually those are single income families, or multiple children, maybe a single parent types of families. Do you have any stories that you can share? I know there may be stories you can't share of any family or friends or connections you've made with like a Habitat family that you've help to serve?
Yeah, so actually one of the first Habitat families, so we like I said, when we were attending First Therapy growing up, we would spend time with these families prior to. Oftentimes they would come in and attend church with us during the times that their homes were being built, and even beforehand and even after. And so, it was a great opportunity for me to be able to get to know these families on a more personal level. And so there's one particular story that sticks out to me when I'm thinking about, getting to know a Habitat family on a personal level. So when I was about I was probably 6. I was going into kindergarten at Robinson Elementary. And, there was a little girl that she was a friend of mine at Robinson in kindergarten. And I remember her, I'm not going to share her name, but I remember her very well, and we were very good friends, and we played together on the playground, and I just thought the world of her, and I thought she was just amazing. And then she came to church at First Therapy with her family, and unbeknownst to me, they were a Habitat family. And so I remember going home that day, and again, this is, growing up, I didn't realize that there were these families had these struggles, right? Because in my life, I didn't see that. And so, I went to Robinson, and at that time, this was 25 years ago, 23 years ago, Robinson was not a Title I school. I lived on the Gaston Country Club golf course. It was a very well-established area. My family and my friends and their families were, established in their careers, and I didn't really know that there was a struggle for someone else my age that didn't have a home, and couldn't afford to live in a home. And so I remember going home and telling my dad, but Dad, this is my friend, and this is somebody that I go to school with, and she's my friend, and, and how does she not have a house? I just couldn't understand how that, we were in such different places in our life. We went to school together. We were friends. She looked like me. She acted like me, but she didn't have a home. And so that is something that resonates with me so much now as a mother. And I've gone to Habitat several times and said, we need opportunity for our children. We need the people that are in a place where we're giving back to Habitat for Humanity. We're investing, we're donating money and time and energy. I want my children to be out there with me. I want them to understand the blessing that they have in having a home and having a bed and having a roof over their heads, because at Gaston Christian, they don't see that struggle, right, in school. And so that, to me, is one of the biggest things. I think when I think about having a relationship with somebody, I just think about that story and thinking she was just like me, and I would have never known. You know?
Well, Gaston County, several Title I schools, obviously, are areas that do need that kind of support, but people that need that kind of support. And so being able to meet that need and being able to see and connect with it. Belmont is obviously area that by and large is more affluent compared to the rest of Gaston County. But, I've shared a little bit of my story is that, I was similar to that little girl. My brother, he's a truck driver in West Texas now. He has his CDL. And which in and of itself is a miracle, because he was diagnosed and he started having seizures very young. And so he was told he'd never be able to drive. And now he has a CDL. He's the first person in my immediate family to own a home.
Wow.
And he bought it last year. And I was so proud of him. And I was telling him, and I'm a little bit more of a sentimental kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, bro, what does that feel like? Like, you own a piece of this world. And he's like, it's just
okay.
a house. And I'm like, no, like that
it's
means
right.
something. So, I don't own a home yet at this point. My wife is finishing school to be a teacher. She is the first person in her family to graduate college because both her parents came from Mexico, born in Chicago. And then my family we were raised very, very poor. We lived in a trailer out at a feedlot. You know what a feedlot is?
I don't.
It's where burgers come from. It's like a big, you see them a lot more in the Southwest, in Texas, New Mexico, where I'm from, Oklahoma. This is where you raise a bunch of cattle and then they ship them all out. So we lived there because it was free. So it was a single wide trailer, and it was a rough place to live. But, I know my parents were doing the best they could.
Absolutely.
So to connect with something like this is, there are a lot of people, and that's why I was excited to get on here and talk about Habitat for Humanity and Dixon Village and your involvement with it, because you never really know where someone's coming from.
Never.
And the kind of person that's building a business, an entrepreneur, whether they have a family that has been from the country club or a family that lived in that trailer, we can come together here and serve that person. It's not about us, it's about them.
Absolutely.
But before we get to Dixon Village, I know a part of your story, I learned this earlier today as we were chatting, that you didn't start in real estate.
No.
So you lead a successful team now with Premier South. We are in the Premier South offices, a real estate company founded out of Belmont, by the way. Shout out Angela Black.
She's the best.
But you didn't start in real estate.
I did
You
not.
actually started as a teacher. Tell me about your passion for serving as a teacher, where you served, why you served there, and what got you ultimately into real estate. I think it's a really important part of your story and who you are.
Absolutely. So fresh out of college, young mother, I decided to go into school teaching. So I finished my bachelor's degree in elementary education, graduated from Queen's University in Charlotte, and great place. Great opportunities for me there. And so I started as a elementary school teacher. I knew that I had a passion for children, but bigger than that, I wanted to give back. I wanted to find a place where I felt like I could give back, where I could be a vessel for these children that go home and they may not see their mom or dads. And, mom might be working 3 jobs, and they're, taking care of their 6-month-old brother or sister, and 2-year-old brother and sister, and they're 5 and 6 years old. And so again, it was a very large desire of mine to feel like I was making a difference in the lives of a child. And so, when I started, I taught my first year in 3rd grade at Kaiser Elementary in Stanley, North Carolina, and that was an incredible year. It was an incredible school to start my career at. The students there are just phenomenal. Great kids, great parents, very involved, which is not always common. And so, so from there, from Kaiser, I left and I went to Sherwood Elementary, Title I school in Gaston County. And I started at Sherwood, and I started teaching 2nd grade at Sherwood. So my time at Sherwood was very special. It was life-changing for me. It was life-changing for my career, even still. I knew I was very needed at Sherwood. There's, 100,000 stories that we could tell that would just are gut-wrenching. But, I was needed at Sherwood. My kids needed me. They depended on me. And so, my time at Sherwood was wonderful. I finished in 2020. During COVID, I was super pregnant with my youngest daughter. And so I knew that, it was time for me to make a career shift. I'd had my real estate license and had a lot of knowledge in real estate, which has just come from the investment side with my father. Ever since I was a young girl, I've learned the importance and the value in real estate investing. And so I took a little bit of time off and had my youngest daughter. And then 2021 came, and here we are in the middle of COVID. The COVID market, from a real estate perspective, was unbelievable. Interest rates were 2.5%, 3%. It was very affordable. It was a great time for people to buy if they could get their hands on a house. There were multiple offers, 10, 20, 30 offers on every listing, $30,000, $50,000, $75,000 over list price. It was a difficult time to purchase for a typical home buyer. However, so that was when I kind of made the shift into real estate full time, and I haven't looked back ever since. But again, teaching was very impactful for me, even in real estate, just wanting to give back and wanting to feel like I was making a difference, and then tying that into my business in real estate. And and having the opportunity to serve with Habitat for Humanity in Dixon Village, and it just is kind of coming full circle.
Yeah. Well, your passion to teach, specifically to teach at a Title I school, going from Kaiser to Sherwood.
Yeah.
You had that passion. Obviously, I don't think that went anywhere.
No.
So you still have the heart for kids in need and still have the heart to teach. How do you find that you're able to continue to pursue those passions or even meet those needs from real estate or from entrepreneurial perspective?
So, the Presley Ramey team was established last year, and it has been such a huge blessing in my career. It's given me the ability to take the love that I have, I guess, for teaching and being able to help other agents find success in real estate, not just from the servicing buyers and sellers, but as we've discussed previously, the investment side of real estate. It's such an incredible piece of the puzzle that not everybody has knowledge of. And so that, to me, is going to change the lives of a lot of agents. And so, again, for me, that's been such a big blessing to be able to teach and advise other agents of the opportunities that are there in investment real estate, aside from just servicing buyers and sellers. So the teaching part comes into play there. I'm able to assist, my agents and other agents with the background knowledge of investing in real estate, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, flipping houses, buying and holding, and developing and partnering with. It's very diverse, right? And so my goal in real estate was to get in and to change the narrative a little bit and kind of dabble in a little bit of all of it, and that's what I've done. And it's a blessing, but on the same token, it's very fulfilling for me to be able to teach other agents or investors or entrepreneurs in general a little bit about what I'm doing and how it works. And so that the teaching side of being a teacher comes into play in real estate there, and then the heart behind being a teacher is what is I'm so passionate about with Habitat for Humanity in Dixon Village.
Well, the responsibility to give back was there when you made the shift from Kaiser to Sherwood.
Absolutely.
How does that responsibility manifest itself now in your business to say, like, okay, how do I give back? Obviously, you're involved in Habitat for Humanity. You're creating opportunities for other agents to get involved or to pursue the career.
Right.
But how does that responsibility show today?
Well, I just think it's a true testament of who you are, as a person. And like we've discussed, it's not about how much money you make, but what you do with the money that you have. And so finding the value in being able to give back, and it is just, it's an incredible feeling when you know that you're in a position where I wasn't in this position in 2020, on a teacher's salary. And I wasn't in a place where I could, donate $5,000 here, $10,000 here, $20,000 here. I wasn't in a place where I could do that. Yeah. And so having that responsibility and knowing the importance behind it, and being able to put it into play in my career has been very fulfilling for me. It's also been life-changing for me. I think it drives me in the investment side of real estate to continue to be successful so that I can continue to give back and show my girls the importance of giving back and just how it's not always, things are not always the way that they seem. And I want that to be very clear to my children as well, that not everybody has the same opportunities. And this is a place where we're at, and we're blessed to be here. And how can we give back and meet the needs of those that are not as fortunate?
I had a mentor that shared that the most important two words of our mission statement or our vision statement, whether it be our business or personally, are so that, right? So I want to invest in or acquire, flip 1,000 properties and make 40% return, whatever, right? If it stops there, then it ends there. It was just material. But when you add so that to the end of it, right? I want to invest in these properties, make this kind of return so that I can help with Habitat for Humanity, so that I can teach someone else, so that I can pour into this other place. Is, really the heart of of the community. It's the heart of the area. And so, so I was like, I like to ask people, like, what is your so that? Like, what are you doing with your so that? And I got to learn through your story what you're doing, and even taking time today. I've already, had received a lot of value in spending time with you before our interview today. And I'm excited to get to connect you to the community. And I think this is the first conversation of many. I think we'll have you back on the podcast for sure to talk business or life or all things. But, I actually learned something recently, and I'll expound on this more later. But I learned a little bit about our history here in Belmont specifically, and where the Stowe family wealth came from. And not a lot of people know that the majority of their wealth actually came from a gift, that there was a farmer here in the area that R.L. Stowe Sr. came back from the Civil War and worked with him, and the farmer actually said, hey, I'm going to give you this, you take care of me for the rest of my life, and it's yours. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Because the heart of this community is service. I mean, I started my first business. I changed the trajectory of my life. I've shared this before because of Summer and Preston Wilson. They poured into me. They believed in me.
Right.
But Preston had that heart, and Summer had that heart, and we can trace it back to the roots of our community a little bit here.
Absolutely.
So to be able to expound on that now in our own special ways, obviously now we can talk about Dixon Village. So Dixon Village is a Habitat for Humanity development that is being developed in North Belmont. North Belmont, Nobel, as Jay Pithwa from Thirsty Social is trying to brand it. I'm trying to drive that as well. So it's in Nobel.
And
North Belmont.
Love that.
A little bit closer up to, your stomping grounds there with Stanley going up that way. But North Belmont is an area that is yet to be as developed as the peninsula is.
Right.
So there's obviously opportunity there, but the Habitat for Humanity community, Dixon Village, is going to be market value homes, specifically for those families, those Habitat families, community servants, teachers, so on and so forth, that have an entry level into the project. Congratulations to you. You've been awarded with the opportunity, and you earned the opportunity to list these homes. So you're going to talk about them. Tell me about Dixon Village. I want to know all about it. Tell the community, the people that maybe want to get involved in the next community, or the person that maybe says, finally, I have an ability to buy a home.
Absolutely. So Dixon Village is a community that is going to provide a very diverse setting, which I believe is going to be very beneficial for the community in North Belmont. So you've got your market rate homes. There's going to be 16 market rate homes. The market rate homes are entry level new construction, just minutes from downtown Belmont, which is very, very rare. You cannot find new construction in that location. It's very few and far between. So the market rate homes, there's a lot of options for buyers out there. They've got 3 different floor plans. Every floor plan is 4 bedrooms. So it's going to meet the needs. Every floor plan is a little bit different, but it's similar in regards to having enough space for families. And so again, there's 3 floor plans. But again, it's so special because this has all been done by Habitat. So Habitat has gone in. These are, well-deserving families. The Habitat homes and the Heroes homes, are provided by Habitat for Humanity. And these are families that are well-deserving and have gone through processes, that Habitat provides for them in order to qualify for those homes. And so, so the market rate will be similar. What is so special to me is that from the exterior, and I think this can teach us all a lesson, they all look the same. All of these homes look the same. There is no difference between the exterior finishes on a market rate home or a Habitat home. And so driving past, you would have no way of knowing how that homeowner got there. You wouldn't know if they qualified for a Habitat home. You wouldn't know if they got a conventional loan to purchase that property. You wouldn't know anything other than this is a beautiful new construction community. It's got amenities. It's got a playground. It's, conveniently located. It's beautiful hardy board siding and stone and, all these incredible features. But you wouldn't look at that and think that's a Habitat house. Yeah. And to me, that's so special. It's providing opportunity for those Habitat families to feel equal.
Yeah, I love that. The Habitat families, so there will be homes that will be listed at market value that
That's
can be
right.
purchased. But
That's
the
right.
Habitat families, are you saying they're gifted these homes, or they're given these homes, or what does that actually look like?
So the process is, so they're not gifted the homes, but they are at 0% interest. So Habitat partners with specific banks that provide these loans, and they are based upon their income. So they're not free homes. These Habitat families are still paying for these homes. However, it's not anything like the market rate homes.
It's adjusted to match their income.
It's adjusted to match their income.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is, what does that look like for the qualification? Because there's one thing to have a affordable living,
Right.
and then there's another thing to qualify for it,
Right.
and I'll tell you, and I'll be vulnerable here. I've been sharing a little bit more of myself here on the platform as of late, but the first time I learned about credit was when I was ruining mine.
Absolutely.
Right. So, there was a lot of rebound from that. Now, some of it was also in my own, I should have just known better. So I was going to play football at Colorado State Pueblo.
Okay.
And I was only going to college to play ball, and I
Okay.
only went for 1 year.
Okay.
So I graduated high school, took the money that I got from graduation. I think it was like, $4,000, which was like a fortune. And I went
Absolutely.
to the local Kawasaki dealership and I bought a Ninja ZX6R crotch rocket. So I'm going to school in Colorado.
Like any of us would do.
I buy a motorcycle
Yeah.
instead of a feasible car. And
That's
my
right.
grandpa actually, I wanted a motorcycle because he always had Harleys and he had an awesome beard. I have an awesome beard like him. He was an
Right.
Army guy, so I went into the Army. I get a lot from him.
Right.
So I just wanted to be like my grandpa.
Absolutely.
He actually co-signed on it with me. And my dad and my
Wow.
mom were like, well, one, they couldn't co-sign with me. But my grandpa's like, no, like if he wants a motorcycle, we're
He's
going
gonna
to
get a motorcycle.
Bad decision though. I go up to school and I start, missing payments and I'm having to rebound and recover. And I had no idea like what credit was.
Absolutely.
So now being 29, thankfully I've recovered from that. I've paid my penance. I've made my mistakes. But there are a lot more people, especially in this county, that I think can resonate with my story, that they weren't taught
Absolutely.
these things early on.
Nope.
So the qualification was something I was curious about, like how Habitat helps with that. So obviously they partner with these banks.
That's right.
That will make it adjustable for them.
That's
Is there
right.
anything else that they do to support those families?
Well, yes. I mean, they have certain, I believe it's deeded. It is deeded. It's deeded when these Habitat families purchase these homes, just to make sure that they assist them in. It's such a large responsibility. I mean, being a homeowner, just in general, regardless of your mortgage payment, is a large responsibility. And so they assist in giving them, during the process of giving them the knowledge that they need in order to be a successful homeowner. And then, as far as I believe that they do go through, financial classes about what to expect as a homeowner.
It's valuable.
It's very valuable. And, my dad and I talk about this all the time. He says his next business venture is he's going to start a TV channel just for budgeting and finances and investing money, because there is no knowledge. You do not learn that. We go to high school and we go to shop class and learn how to cut wood, or like Foods 101. Like I took Foods 101 in high school, and it was like talking about like you're starting your oven, like cooking, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
But nothing for
I didn't
taxes
learn
and
anything.
finances
No,
and
no,
investment.
no,
The things
no.
actually we actually need.
No.
Yeah.
No, my advice to everybody is if I think studying business is if you make it to the collegiate level, studying business is so valuable.
What's your dad's name? Is John?
John McGill.
John McGill. So John McGill needs to start a podcast
Yeah.
and a YouTube channel. And
Can we invite John on here one
yes,
day?
absolutely.
Okay.
I'd love to get to know him too, just especially with what you've shared of his heart and his business acumen, obviously, and his success. But I think he needs to start a podcast and a YouTube channel, and I think we know a thing or two about that, so
Yeah.
we'd love to help him.
Sure thing.
But no, it is valuable because people don't have those resources. But even beyond that, they're ashamed
Yeah.
to admit that they don't know.
Yeah.
Right? They're ashamed to admit that, I'm not going to knock on real estate specifically, but some agents will post and share things like buy a home, don't rent.
Absolutely.
Totally forgetting that, yeah, I wish we could.
Absolutely.
we don't have that opportunity.
Absolutely.
We can't qualify, or if we do have the money, we can't qualify. If we do qualify, we don't have the money.
That's right.
So I think it's helpful to be able to connect with that. And, I've really gotten to enjoy learning more about your story and who you are and the impact you're having in the community. And again, just really connecting with the people. So thank you for taking the time. Is there anything else that we missed here? I'm going to drop some links to connect with you as you're the listing agent. If you have an agent, have them connect with you. I'm sure if you already have a buyer's agent and trying to get into that, I'm familiar enough with the process. Get pre-qualified. We'll drop some links below. Get your mortgage lined out, and at some point or another, it's more affordable housing here, but it's also a really great cause. So I can only assume that the homes that are selling for market rate, the proceeds from those sales go back to Habitat for Humanity to create more homes.
That's correct.
So you're buying a home and you're getting affordable living in Belmont,
but
you're also supporting an awesome cause.
You're also supporting an awesome cause.
Did I miss anything?
You didn't. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you, Presley.
Thank you
for taking the time and what you're doing in the community and for your story. And I'm sure the people will get to connect with you again. And you can follow Presley on Instagram. And you're really, really active there. What's your name?
Oh, I think it's Presley Ramey _realtor.
Okay.
I'll need to verify that, but
yes,
you can tag me.
We will verify it, and Belmont John, tag it below right here at Presley Ramey _realtor, whatever that may be, and connect with her. And thank you all for joining us in another episode of Building Belmont and making a great connection here and capturing a great story. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Building Belmont podcast. I'm your host, Keanu Trujillo, reminding you to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. And of course, share with a friend, share with a neighbor. We'll see you again next week as we capture more stories, create more connection, and share more information here on the Building Belmont podcast.